Okay, so have you ever been in a situation, maybe someone says something about you behind your back, and you just wished, like you had the perfect words, the perfect comeback,
Oh, definitely.
and you just replay it in your head,
Right.
right? Thinking of all the smart things you could have said. It's pretty universal, I think.
It absolutely is.
Mm.
And, well, that frustration gets like 10 times worse when you're trying to deal with it in English if it's not your first language.
Mm.
You have all these thoughts, these feelings, maybe some really deep insights, but finding those precise English words, those impactful phrases, it can feel almost impossible sometimes.
Yeah.
And this difficulty, it really spikes in those high stakes moments, when you feel misunderstood or maybe even betrayed.
Exactly. And that's precisely why we're doing this deep dive today. We want to look at how to express yourself powerfully in English, especially in those tough, emotionally charged situations.
Right.
Now, we're not here to, get into the drama itself, but we can learn a lot about finding your voice and standing up for yourself without, well, losing your cool.
We'll even touch on what makes certain moments, like that recent viral thing with Elon Musk calling someone a snake, so memorable. Not to agree or disagree, but to understand the mechanics behind powerful communication.
Yeah, the why behind the impact. So our mission today is pretty clear. We'll explore a bit of the psychology behind communication that really hits home.
Okay.
We'll break down why some phrases just stick with you. And most importantly, we want to give you some practical tools. Tools to help you say what you need to say clearly and confidently, even when emotions are running high.
Tools you can actually use.
Exactly.
So whether you've ever struggled to maybe defend yourself in English, or you've wondered how some people just always seem to have the right words, or maybe you just want to understand what makes communication stick. Well, this discussion, I think, is going to shift how you think about finding your authentic voice. Let's jump in.
Let's do it. Okay, let's set the scene with a real-world example. I want to tell you about Marcus. He's a student from Germany, was working at this really fast-paced tech startup out in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
And he found himself in a situation that, well, in its own way, had that same kind of high tension we sometimes see in those big viral moments.
Oh, really? What kind of situation was it? What happened?
So Marcus found out that a colleague was basically taking credit for his ideas in meetings with senior management.
Oh, wow. Not good.
Yeah, not good at all. And for weeks, Marcus just stayed silent. He wasn't sure how to handle it professionally in English without either sounding really aggressive or, losing his composure and looking weak. He felt completely stuck.
That is such a delicate spot to be in.
Yeah.
And really common, I think, especially for English learners. You worry so much about how your tone is going to come across.
Right.
Marcus actually told us his exact words were something like, in German, I know exactly how to be firm but respectful. But in English, he said, I either sound too weak or too angry. That inability to just transfer his usual communication style was a huge hurdle for him.
Yeah, I hear that kind of frustration a lot. So what we worked on with Marcus was this strategy, I call it professional directness.
Okay, professional directness. What does that involve?
It's basically about being crystal clear on the facts, but without making it a personal attack. So instead of the really emotional, you stole my idea.
Right, which just escalates things.
Exactly. Marcus learned to say something more like, I'd just like to clarify that the concept we discussed actually originated from my presentation last week. See the difference?
Oh, that's brilliant. It's the same core message, really, but it shifts the whole frame. It moves from accusation, which puts people on defense, to clarification, focusing on information on the timeline.
Yeah.
That reframing is just incredibly powerful.
And guess what? It worked. Marcus brought it up in the next team meeting using that approach.
Okay.
Here, his colleague didn't just acknowledge his contribution, he actually apologized. Publicly. Wow.
And Marcus gained a ton of respect for how he handled it. But here's the really fascinating part for me.
Yeah.
He told me that learning this direct but professional style in English, it actually boosted his confidence speaking German, too. It sort of bled over into his native language communication.
That is fascinating, isn't it? It really shows how figuring out a new way to communicate in one language can actually improve your whole communication toolkit.
Totally.
And this ties right back to what often makes those viral moments so powerful, that raw, unmistakable feeling of authenticity.
Absolutely. Marcus's story really highlights our first big insight here. Impact isn't just what you say, it's very much how you say it. It's that combination, that synergy of your tone and your specific word choice that really makes your message land and shapes how people remember it.
And that synergy leads directly into our second key insight, which is authenticity just amplifies everything. When your words are fueled by genuine emotion, whether that's strong conviction or frustration or even excitement, listeners don't just process the information, they feel it.
And that genuine connection is what pulls people in and makes them really pay attention.
It makes them lean in.
Exactly. Let me share another story. This one's about Sophia from Brazil. She was doing her MBA at a top university in Boston, and she was just terrified of speaking up in class.
Oh, I can imagine that pressure. What was holding her back? Why was she so afraid to share her ideas?
Well, Sophia felt this immense pressure for her English to be absolutely perfect, flawless.
The perfection trap.
Totally. So she'd sit there in class, apparently with brilliant insights, really valuable perspectives from her background, but just stay completely silent, paralyzed by this fear of making grammar mistakes or maybe not sounding sophisticated enough.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. All that knowledge just trapped inside because of language anxiety. Must have been so frustrating for her.
It really was. But then something shifted. There was this one discussion on business ethics, and another student made a comment that Sophia felt was just completely wrong. It contradicted everything she knew from her experience working in emerging markets. It really hit a nerve, personally and professionally.
So the passion took over. Did she finally speak up?
For the very first time that whole semester, she put her hand up. And she said something simple, like, I respectfully disagree and I want to share why.
Okay.
Now, her English in that moment probably wasn't perfect. She might have paused, maybe stumbled over a word. But her passion was so clear, so genuine. And she went on to share this really powerful story from her own work experience.
Wow. And how did the class react to that? To that authentic, maybe slightly imperfect contribution?
First, the room just went silent. Everyone was completely captivated by her sincerity,
Yeah.
Then it just opened up into this really engaged discussion. Students started asking her questions. The professor praised her unique perspective. And honestly, from that day on, Sophia became one of the most respected voices in that class. People wanted to hear what she thought.
That is such a powerful example of how people connect with authenticity, isn't it? Even if the grammar isn't textbook perfect, that emotional truth just cut right through.
It really does. And this brings us nicely to our third insight. Emotional truth transcends linguistic perfection. When you speak from your heart about something you genuinely believe in, people feel that energy. They respond to it. And that raw, genuine emotion. That's often the engine driving those viral moments we talk about, that feeling of unfiltered honesty.
Okay, so emotional truth sounds really powerful. But I can also hear someone listening and thinking, hang on, if I just let all my emotions out, don't I risk looking unprofessional?
Yeah.
Or maybe even aggressive? How do we find that balance, especially when things are tense?
That's a really important question. And it leads us straight to our fourth insight. Strategic vulnerability often beats aggressive defense.
Strategic vulnerability. Okay.
Yeah. So instead of attacking someone when you feel wronged or misunderstood, try sharing how their actions actually affected you. It shifts the focus from blame to impact.
Can you give us like a concrete example? What does that strategic vulnerability sound like in practice? It feels like a subtle shift, but maybe a really important one.
Definitely. So instead of blurting out, you're a liar and everyone needs to know, which, just puts up walls instantly.
Right. Instant defense mode.
Exactly. You could try something like, I was really disappointed to discover that the information I was relying on wasn't accurate. And honestly, it affected my ability to make good decisions going forward.
Ah, I see. It's still really clear about the problem, the inaccurate information, but it frames it from your perspective. It focuses on the consequence, the ripple effect, rather than just attacking the person's character.
Precisely. It highlights the issue without being directly combative. It invites understanding, or at least consideration, rather than just immediate defensiveness.
I find that approach really compelling. It feels more constructive.
And when you communicate that way, people are just far more likely to actually listen, maybe even support you. It's kind of like the difference between, say, starting a wildfire, which just spreads and destroys, and lighting a torch, which actually illuminates the path forward so everyone can see more clearly.
That's a great metaphor. A fire destroys, a torch illuminates.
Okay, let's bring all these insights back to you, the listener, the English learner. I really believe many of you struggle finding your voice in English because you're trying so hard to perfectly translate your native personality instead of maybe allowing a new, unique English personality to kind of emerge naturally through the language.
That is such a profound observation. I've seen it happen so many times. Students discover these entirely new facets of themselves when they start communicating authentically in English.
Really?
Yeah. The language might allow for, say, a certain directness that isn't typical in their culture, or maybe a different kind of expressiveness, or even a more analytical way of framing things. It's almost like discovering a new, powerful version of yourself.
And maybe sometimes those new versions are exactly what you need to handle difficult situations even better than you could before. Now, before we sort of solidify these concepts, I just want to emphasize something really crucial for you listening. People remember authentic communication, not perfect grammar. Your goal isn't to sound like a textbook.
No.
Or a flawless native speaker. Your goal is to sound like you, but speaking English. That's where your real power is.
Exactly. Well said. And just to help make sure these powerful ideas really stick, let's quickly recap some of those key terms we've been discussing today.
Good idea.
Okay, first up was professional directness. Remember, this is about being clear, straightforward, especially in business, but without being rude or aggressive. It's stating facts, stating your position confidently but respectfully.
Got it. Clear, confident, respectful.
Then we talked about the phrase, I respectfully disagree. Such a useful phrase. It's a powerful, polite way to signal disagreement without immediately starting a fight. It shows you value the other person, even if you don't share their view.
Okay, respect even in disagreement.
Next, that crucial difference between assertive versus aggressive. Being assertive means confidently expressing your needs, opinions, boundaries, while respecting others. Aggressive is expressing yourself in a way that attacks, dismisses, or disrespects others. Same confidence maybe, but a totally different approach and impact.
Right, respect is the key difference there.
Then we had strategic vulnerability. This is about choosing to share your feelings or how you've been affected by a situation, not to attack, but to create connection and understanding, especially when you feel hurt or wronged. It's about building bridges, not burning them down.
Sharing impact, not blame. Makes sense.
And finally, emotional truth. This is communication that really comes from your genuine feelings and beliefs. It's not just about trying to sound smart or impressive. When you speak your emotional truth, people feel that authenticity. They connect with it.
That genuine core.
Exactly. And remember, bottom line, people connect with your authentic voice, not your perfect grammar. Let your real personality shine through when you speak English.
Okay, you've heard the insights, you've heard the stories. Now, it's really time to put this into practice.
Right. So here's your authentic communication challenge for this week. We want you to practice expressing a genuine opinion or feeling in English.
Okay.
Maybe it's in a work meeting, maybe just talking with a friend, perhaps even writing an online comment. The focus. Be true to your thoughts, not on getting every single grammar point perfect.
Yeah, the goal here isn't about creating drama or anything. It's about consciously practicing speaking from your authentic self. Just notice, pay attention to how people respond when you communicate something genuine versus maybe when you're just trying to sound correct.
And to give you a little help with that, you can download our Authentic Voice Phrase Bank. It's right there in the description.
Oh, cool. What's in it?
It's packed with useful professional ways to disagree respectfully, express strong opinions clearly, clarify misunderstandings, and generally stand up for yourself without causing unnecessary conflict.
That sounds incredibly useful. Definitely grab that. And hey, we'd love to hear how you get on. Leave us a comment. Tell us about a moment when maybe you found your authentic voice in English.
Yeah. What happened when you stopped worrying so much about perfection and just started being real? We really want to know.
Definitely.
And look, if this deep dive has kind of sparked something for you, if you're starting to see how your personality is actually your secret weapon in English, then, keep engaging with the show. There's more to explore here.
Absolutely. And here's maybe a final thought for you to take away and just ponder this week. The communicators we remember most, they aren't usually the ones with perfect accents or zero grammar mistakes.
No, rarely.
They are almost always the ones who speak with real, genuine conviction about things that truly matter to them.
So true. Whether you're defending an idea you believe in, or sharing your excitement about something, or even expressing disagreement, it's your authentic voice that cuts through all the noise.
Yeah.
That's what makes people actually listen and truly remember what you said.
So remember, your English journey doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be genuinely you. And every single time you speak your truth in English, you're not just building your language skills. You're building your personal power, too.
Absolutely. So embrace that authentic voice. Trust your message. And please remember, the world genuinely needs to hear what you have to say, accent, imperfections, and all.
Well said. Until next time, keep speaking your truth and keep exploring those new depths of communication.